What if I told you a full-scale military invasion, thousands of soldiers, helicopters, and warships, was bought for just $1? It sounds like fiction, but it's true. This is the story of the 1983 invasion of Grenada, a tiny Caribbean island that became the center of a Cold War showdown. Grenada, known as the Isle of Spice, was a peaceful dot in the Caribbean famous for nutmeg and white sand beaches. But in the late 20th century, it was swept into the global struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. How did a small island become so important that the world's mightiest military intervened? It's a tale of revolution, betrayal, and a desperate plea for help. And at the heart of it all, a $1 deal that changed history. Before the headlines, Grenada was a place of beauty and simplicity, just 135 square miles, with a culture shaped by centuries of colonial rule. For over 200 years, it was a British outpost, its economy built on sugar, cocoa, and nutmeg. Life moved slowly, with local politics focused on crops and fishing, not global power struggles. In 1974, Grenada gained independence, sparking hope and pride. But new challenges emerged. Prime Minister Eric Gary's rule became increasingly authoritarian. Gary's obsession with UFOs and his secret police, the Mongoose Gang, bred discontent. Frustration simmered, especially among young, educated Grenadians inspired by global revolutionary movements. They dreamed of a future free from corruption and inequality. Gary's government was seen as a relic, holding Grenada back. The island was on the brink of transformation, soon to capture the world's attention. The seeds of revolution were sown, setting the stage for dramatic change. Grenada's quiet past was about to end. The world was watching, even if Grenadians didn't know it yet. On March 13, 1979, while Gary was away, the New Jewel movement seized power in a nearly bloodless coup. Led by Maurice Bishop, they promised to end corruption and build a just society. Crowds celebrated, but Washington was alarmed. The new government was Marxist-Leninist and quickly allied with Cuba. For the U.S., another Cuba in the Caribbean was a nightmare. Reagan's administration, fiercely anti-communist, saw Grenada as a domino that could trigger regional upheaval. Bishop's government launched popular reforms, literacy campaigns, free clinics, but U.S. officials saw only growing communist influence. The U.S. cut off aid and pressured allies to isolate Grenada. Bishop insisted, "We are not in anybody's backyard," but Cold War fears overruled his words. The stage was set for confrontation. A new airport project would soon become the flashpoint. Perception, not reality, was driving the crisis. Grenada was caught in the crossfire of superpower rivalry. At Grenada's southern tip, construction began on the Point Salines International Airport. Bishop's government said it was vital for tourism and economic survival. Cuba sent workers to help, but the U.S. saw the long runway as a potential Soviet airbase. Reagan showed satellite photos, warning of a military threat in America's backyard. Bishop's government denied the claims, insisting the airport was for tourism. The debate raged. Was it a gateway for prosperity or a dagger pointed at the U.S.? For Washington, the risk was too great to ignore. The airport became the symbol of Cold War suspicion. As tensions peaked, Grenada's revolution turned inward. A split emerged. Bishop, the pragmatic leader, versus hardline communists led by Bernard Cord. Cord's faction accused Bishop of betraying the revolution. In October 1983, Bishop was placed under house arrest, sparking outrage. Thousands marched for his release. On October 19th, they freed him and marched to Fort Rupert. Soldiers loyal to the hardliners opened fire, then executed Bishop and his ministers. The military, now led by General Hudson Austin, imposed a shoot-on-sight curfew. The government collapsed. The island was leaderless and terrified. The U.S. saw an opportunity. About 1,000 Americans, mostly students, were stranded. The Reagan administration claimed they were in grave danger. The rescue of these students became the public face of intervention. The dream of Grenadian revolution ended in violence. A new, far more powerful force was about to arrive. The world braced for what came next. With Grenada in chaos, Governor General Sir Paul Scoon secretly requested U.S. intervention. The price won Eastern Caribbean dollar, a symbolic gesture to make the invasion an official invitation. On October 25, 1983, Operation Urgent Fury began. Nearly 8,000 U.S. troops, joined by Caribbean allies, launched a massive assault. Army Rangers parachuted onto the unfinished airport. Marines landed by helicopter elsewhere. The invasion was swift, but not easy. Cuban workers and Grenadian soldiers fought back fiercely. Communication failures and unexpected resistance led to American casualties. 19 U.S. soldiers died, dozens more were wounded. Grenadian and Cuban losses mounted, and civilians were caught in the crossfire. A U.S. jet accidentally bombed a mental hospital, killing patients. Despite setbacks, overwhelming U.S. firepower prevailed. The American students were rescued and flown home. The military junta was captured, the invasion declared a success. The world watched, stunned by the speed and audacity. The U.S. had flexed its muscles, but questions about the real motives remained. The story was far from over. The rescue of American students was the public reason for the invasion, but the real motives ran deeper. For Reagan, Grenada was a chance to reassert U.S. strength after Vietnam and Iran. The invasion sent a message to the Soviets and Cuba there were limits to their influence in the Americas. It warned leftist movements in the region of the risks of aligning with Moscow. Reagan's doctrine, peace through strength, was on full display. The operation boosted his popularity at home, despite international condemnation. Critics called it a violation of international law, but most Americans saw it as a triumph. Was Grenada truly a Soviet base? Evidence was ambiguous, but perception mattered more than proof. The $1 deal provided legal cover, the student rescue, moral justification. The real driver was the need to reassert American dominance in the Cold War. Grenada became a symbol in a global struggle. After the invasion, the U.S. installed an interim government and poured in aid. The coup leaders were tried and imprisoned. The Point Salines airport was completed with U.S. funding and later renamed for Maurice Bishop. Internationally, the invasion was condemned, but in Grenada, many saw the Americans as liberators. October 25th is now Thanksgiving Day in Grenada, marking the restoration of peace and democracy. The $1 agreement was a masterstroke of symbolism, turning an invasion into an intervention. It gave Reagan the legal and moral cover he needed. The price of legitimacy was just $1, but the consequences were global. Grenada's story shows how small places can shape world history. For a brief moment, a tiny island became the epicenter of the Cold War, and a single dollar bought a justification for war. And that brings us to the end of Grenada's extraordinary story, where history was changed for just a single dollar. Thanks so much for joining us on this wild journey through coups, intrigue, and global politics. We'd love to hear what you think. Was the intervention justified? Did the $1 deal surprise you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get a conversation going. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible stories from around the world, and ring the bell so you never miss out. We've got plenty more fascinating history and untold tales on the channel, so be sure to check them out. Your support means the world to us. Thanks again for watching, and remember, every story, no matter how small, can change the course of history. See you in the next video.